While you are filling in the poll, let me introduce myself. My name is Vladimir Valouch, and I'm Dev Manager in Concur. And I'm working in a team, Concur Labs Prague. Today, I'm here together with my colleagues, and we are bringing to you Kotlin AppPort Academy for Kotlin. I would like to introduce to you also my colleagues who will be teachers on the next lessons and helping out today, also if you will have any issues. Let's start with the person I see first. Johanna, please could you introduce yourself?
So good afternoon. My name is Johanna and I'm the mobile developer for Android platform in Concur, SubConcur.
Thanks, Johanna. Juanve?
Hi, everyone. My name is Juanvi. I'm also a software engineer in Concur, and I will be one of the teachers.
And last but not least today, Jakub Schnorr.
Hi, everyone. I'm a developer at Concur Labs, and I'll be a student as you are for some lessons, and later on I will teach you about HTTP and how to build a server.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone who is currently still voting into the poll. As I said, the poll is super important for us to well balance the next lessons. So for those of you who did not vote in the poll, please try to vote. Okay, and with that said, let's start with the programming, or not yet actually. I would like to walk you through what we'll be doing today. The first thing first, probably each and every one of us need to set up their IDE. For this course, we are we are going to use IntelliJ IDEA. So those of you who already have it installed with the Kotlin, feel free to use it. For those of you who are missing it, please try to install it. I'm going to send the link for our GitHub repository to you to the chat channel. Here is the link to our GitHub repo. In that GitHub repo, you will find this page. And what I would like to ask you right now is to start with the IDE setup, because the first step is actually to download the link. While you will be downloading, I will try to introduce you to the course. So while we are doing the setup, let me show what we are going to play with. The course overview today will be just about the installation of the IntelliJ. Not just about installation and setup, and we will also try a few tasks. If you are already curious what the task will be, you can just scroll down and you will see it. During the course, you will also learn how to use the control flow. For example, cycles, logical branching. We'll also tell you what are the interfaces, abstract classes, how to use them, when to use them. We will also speak quite a lot about conventions, how the Kotlin actually works, how you can use collections. We will today try something what the collections are initially based on, which are just very primitive arrays. And on this lesson, you will find way more. We'll also speak about the properties and builders, because this is something what is really, really tremendous about Kotlin. We'll explain how the basic IO operations are working and how the Kotlin is making it super easy and nice for us to do it. We will learn something about the coroutines, which is Kotlin-ish way how to do the multi-threading in really, actually it is not multi-threading, that's why they are battling. I should not even say it, but it is a way how to run multiple things in parallel while not blocking the main thread. The main thread run is something what you will need to take in consideration once we start to play with the mobile apps. Then we will also work with the Kotlin as something that allows us to create an HTTP server. Once we will have our own HTTP server, we will try to create Kotlin multi-platform app, which means we will create a mobile app for Android and also iOS, which would be sharing exactly the same code for calling the backend. And the last but not least, we will also show how to use pretty much exactly the same code, which we can write the server-side client with, also running on the phone. If there will be requirement or request, I will see in a poll quite many people answering that they are working with JavaScript. We have currently 4 people. Then we can definitely introduce and show that Kotlin, why is it so nice? Not just that you can use it over the JVM, but you can use Kotlin for the JavaScript, and you can use also Kotlin for the native. So with the native, you can use Kotlin to communicate with C, C++ libraries. With that said, we went through the course overview. If you would be interested in some more information about what we are going to do today, because we're relatively limited in the time, we have still almost 40 minutes, but if you would like to know more, I have included for you 2 links. One of the link is here, Kotlin manual. So if you will open it, here you can read pretty much everything, what we are going to go through, and I strongly suggest you to go back to this reference manual, which will show you more information and pretty nice examples. You can also contact us each and every time you will find out that there is something missing or you would like to add something to our Slack channel. Or if you would like to play a little bit more and you have some extra spare time, you can definitely go in and directly in your browser start with Kotlin cones. Another thing which I would suggest you to try if you feel that you do not have enough exercises provided during the lessons. Please, could those of you who already have Intellij downloaded give me in the chat some confirmation? Yes, no, thumbs up. If there is anyone who's having problems or any challenges, please let us know. We're ready for this, and we can anytime create breakout rooms where one of our teachers will help you with the setup. For now, what I'm going to do, I'm opening the breakout rooms. So if you will have any issues with the Intellij setup, just ping on the chat either Johanna or Juan V and agree on which breakout room you will use, and you will just move there and solve the issues. For me, I already have my Intellij idea ready. So once you have it, please just start it and click on Create New Project. What you can see here is that you just directly from the start, after installation of Community Edition, you have quite a lot of options how to start brand new projects. That was also the reason why I chosen to use this one for the first lesson, because I believe it would be super useful, and definitely I'm going to use this guide also for showing the multi-platform part of this course. Directly, just for the Kotlin, you can see that you can use JVM, JavaScript, native. Native is actually C and C++, as I mentioned previously. Or you can start with the creation of the multi-platform libraries. You can also continue with the mobile, Android, or create a shared library. We will go through this later on. Probably during this course, we will bump into explanation what is the Gradle and how to use it, because we might need to use it for the multi-platform project, or maybe not, depends. But for now, I expect you to see the screen and choose JVM idea and click next. Here I'm going to name it my lesson 1. Hopefully I don't already have it there, because I was, of course, testing stuff today. Let me check the chat. I will probably start to create polls for these questions because it will be simpler. Right. So once we are here, and please let me know if I'm going too fast. And for project SDK, what should we choose? I was choosing Java. We can actually try it once more. Create new project, Kotlin, JVM idea, and project SDK. Okay, I use Java 1.8 and use library. Was this helpful?
Yes.
Cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm going to open my project. Once we are here, we are in Intellij idea. There is an activation needed. There is an activation needed if you have downloaded Ultimate Edition, which you have previously used on your computer. You need to install Intellij Community Edition. You need to install this one. This should be working for you.
Vladimir, could you please send the link in the chat? This one. Thank you.
Yeah. But if you would be ever searching for the link, it's also here in the IT setup directly on GitHub. Once we are here, what do we see? We see a basic setup of the project and information about external libraries. Fortunately for us, this project setup is super simple and there is pretty much nothing. If we will try to open the project in a folder, we will see only the source folder, this lesson IML and idea. Lesson IML, please do not ever delete it. It's description of the project for the Intellij idea. If please, could you write into the chat how many of you ever use Intellij? Should I continue with the Intellij explanation, or is it straightforward for you? I see that there are some challenges with Java. Please either use the virtual room, breakout room to solve it, and let me know if I should wait and for how long. How many people is currently having issue with the Java? Otherwise, I will continue with the first examples. The first example is actually creating first Kotlin file. What I did, I left click on the source folder, left click to mark it, right click to show the selections, the menu, and I'm going to create a new Kotlin file class. I will name it as main. I do not need to type anything. It can be file. We are not working with the classes. We will explain what the classes are in the next lesson. All right. And what we're going to actually do and what we're currently going through is this task and project creation. So if you will have any questions in general, this is what we are currently going through. We opened the Intellij idea, we selected a new project, we have chosen the Kotlin JVM, lesson 1, and we created a new file. From here, I can actually copy my my function. If you don't want to retype it, I can just retype it for me. World. And here you have multiple ways how to run it. The first option is you can click here, run. If it happened to you that you do not have this this green triangle here, the easiest way, or the most probably what happened, Intellij did not yet rebuild your project, and in order to get it here, just click on a build and rebuild project. It should not take that long. It should take about 10 to 20 seconds. And once it is done, either the green triangle should be here, or you can always click, do right click and choose one main KT. Voila, and we see hello world. Congratulations, you have just run first Kotlin line in your life if you are running Kotlin for the first time. Feel free to speak if I'm just continuing and not responding because I'm not all the time looking into the chat. Yes, Kuba, I will give you co-host. Please, can you give me a sign that how many of you are on this part? How many of you were able to run Hello World? In the chat, you can click on yes or no, or in the participants window. In the participants window, you can click yes, no, and I will immediately see how many of you are right here. Right now, I see 6, 7 people. Is there anyone else who needs any help with Intellij installation, or is it working for everyone? I guess nobody's speaking, so I take it it is fine. Okay. The next task, or what we are going to first talk about, is what we actually did. We created our first function. Here is the way how you define a function. In Kotlin, the fact that it is a function, you need to notify by using the word fun, and there is a space, and this is the name of the function. You can create as many functions as you wish. Let's say,
Vladimir, sorry. Christos seems to have issues, so I would like to take him to breakout room to show, but I don't have the button here for the breakout rooms. Can you move me?
Yes, yes. Sign. Jakub and whom? What?
It's Christos Simas.
Yep.
And Jiří Bělohoubek.
Okay, rooms are open. Feel free to use them. Is there anyone else having any issues with the setup of Intellij?
I'm also not showing the option, Vladimir. Maybe you didn't move me as a co-host or something.
Okay. Let's double check. You should be as a co-host. You are already co-host. Could you check the breakout rooms now? I clicked again to open them.
If I may, if you want to open a breakout room, you don't only need to be a host or co-host, but you also have to allow it in your settings in Zoom, in the Zoom settings.
The rooms are opened already.
Yeah, but I mean, Johanna, maybe she doesn't have this
have
function allowed in
right.
her Zoom settings.
I can try, but I already tried today, so it doesn't make really sense.
It was working 2 hours back.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's fine. Like this is, by the way, this is our first academy, which we are doing over just over the over video conference. Previously, we did already 4 courses. Each one of them had 10 lessons for Android Academy, but those were in person in AppPort. That's actually the background, which you can see behind me. That's usually the place where we do the Android academies or Kotlin academies and iOS academies. If I can continue, we're a little bit running out of the time. I said that I will show you how to actually create a method function. So what I did, I have my main. This is like the main function is the top most important one because this is the one which is starting everything. So as you can see, I do not have this green triangle which would allow me to run just the print hello world, but I can call the print hello world from the main function. So not debug, but should not matter. Still, hello world, it works. Now let's continue a little bit. Let's speak about the numbers. In Kotlin, you have quite a lot of possibilities, the same as in Java. You can start with creation of a short. My short. In Java, you might be used to the fact that you were previously putting the type in front. In Kotlin, you are no longer putting it in the front, and in some certain scenarios, you do not even need to specify the type because there is type inference in a Kotlin. Also, what I did here, this line contains actually quite a lot of information for you. For those who are brand new to the programming, on this line, what I did, I created a variable, which is final. Final means that I can assign it only once and never again. If I will try to assign it once more, it will just crash. What I did, I also said that the variable will have type short. And finally, what I did, I assigned value, which is 1. Let's create one more final variable. This time it will be int. And here you can see that I do not need to really specify what is the type, because it will automatically infer it. I can create another type of the variable, which will be actually long. And for the long, I use capital L to actually say that it is a long, or I would need to type it this way. But as you can see, will tell you that the specification of long, the specification of the type is redundant because it is able to derive it from the value which I'm assigning. You might be wondering why we have so many different types for the numbers. And the answer is pretty straightforward. It's just about the usage of the memory. We have even smaller types. I started with the short. The short is using 16 bits of memory to store the number. And here you can also see what are the values which you can store into the short. Here is information on what you can store also into int, which is 32 bits, and long, which is the biggest one. But for these, we are currently just, I'm currently just showing the numbers, which are non-decimals. If I would like to store decimals, I will use my floats or doubles. Again, those are just the numbers, and difference between them is that the float is using half of the memory needed for the double. In the beginning of the programming, it's irrelevant, and feel free to use probably any which you want. Eventually, if you start to work on projects which are resource heavy or resource super constrained, then you will figure out that even usage of the float might be too expensive for the computation. And of course, usage of the memory. What I wanted to show you is one more example directly in the GitHub. And actually, I would like you to try it. Try this code, and please write into the chat which of the lines will cause an error. I will give you 1 minute. So who will be the first one writing down which line will cause an issue? Okay. Great, great. I see quite a lot of people is guessing it and saying it right. Of course, this line will crash, and that's what I mentioned. Once you assign the value into, once you assign into the final variable, you are not allowed and able to change the value. That's why the speech tool will work, because here is var, which is non-final, variable, which is non-final, and so that I can change it. Here I can't, and here it will crash. I showed you how to create different variables, and what we will try to do is create one more test. And here again, I will ask you for cooperation. As you can see, I have here quite a lot of variables, and what I will do, I will, how to name it? Addition 1. I know the naming is not great, but let's see. Can someone guess what will be the result? And again, please write it to the chat. You see that my double is 1.1 and my int is 1. So if I will write print line, because print line is the way how I can write through console, what I will see. So I have suggestion of 2.1, which is correct. Thank you. Let's continue further. By the way, Kane, one more question before we move. What will happen if I will do the addition of my double and my float? Can someone guess what will be the output format or output type? Should we try it? The answer will be my double. The reasoning for it is usually simple, because my double contains is bigger, so that it can actually incorporate much more. If you will try to force my float to my, if you will try to force from my double to my float, like changing the type to lower, you might reach overflow, and the value would be lost. So in general, the majority of the languages, if you do addition of those two types, they will automatically choose the bigger one. Okay, we are going to play with the Booleans. So Booleans are, Booleans is a type which allows us to save actually just two values, true or false. And the task is that we're supposed to create a variable which has the false value. Can someone write into the chat how such a line would look like? Here is an example of how you would define the variable and assign it a value. And here is actually an example of how the true or false is written in Kotlin. Equals. I do not even need to write the type because, again, this is tremendous thing about the Kotlin, the type inference. What I would like to ask you on this line, what is important to realize, or what is great to test on this line, is how the Boolean logic works in Kotlin. And as again, please, could you write into the chat, what do you think would be the result? Yes, yes, it's true. Thank you. We went through two basic types, numbers and Booleans. Before I would continue with the characters, I thought that it makes more sense to first introduce the arrays. Because I will tell it later, but for the arrays. Arrays is a primitive way how to store multiple values of same type into array. Let me then show you how to actually create and store some value of such. Wait, it's a double. My double array, and what I'm going to do is actually going to create a double array. Another really nice thing about the Kotlin, the way how you create array is that just you name it. You choose the type which you would like to say, which you would like to have, and just add a suffix array. And voila, what I've just created is my double array, which has 10 elements. What we can do and what could be interesting is to see what would be the default initialization and how we can change it. Oh yeah, it's an object. Okay, let's check at least one of those. Let's check the first. This is what I'm currently just showing you is the way how to access the first element in an array. And yes, what I've mentioned is that arrays in Kotlin are addressed from 0, the same like in Java and C++ and many other languages. If I would like to find out what is the value of the fifth element in an array, I can just change the value. If I would like to figure out what are the values of each and every item in an array, I can use a lambda function, or I can use just simple for each, which will go through it, which is how the workflow is handled, and it will be explained later on. But as you can see, no matter where I go in an array, it's currently instantiated with value 0. The task number 2 is how to actually create an array which would be initialized with some value which I'm interested at. And this time I will probably create int array so that it's a little bit different and I do not need to just use int. What I did right now, again, I have my integer array, which has the size of 10 elements, but I would like it to be instantiated to value 42. So if I print line of my int array, and let's say the first element or the fifth element as previously. See what will be there. And voila, I have number 42. Wow, we are almost out of the time. So let me at least quickly, before we end, show you the most important part, and that's the playing with the characters. The way how you can play with the characters is that you can create a new my car, and in a single quote, you can name one character. This is the way how it works even in C++, Java, I believe even in other languages. If you would like to create actually the whole word, you would use string. This is how you would, again, how you would store multiple characters. If you will, and again, I'm not even specifying what will be the type. So here, if I would type car, then it would tell me that it is not needed. Here, if I will try to say that it is car, it will the most probably scream at me because this is actually car sequence, multiple characters. So the proper type is a string. And one last thing which I wanted to show you is another tremendous thing about Kotlin. It's a concatenation in Kotlin. In multiple languages, you have string formatters, which allows you to do quite a lot of things. But it is usually called outside of the string. Here in Kotlin, the way how concatenation can work is done in multiple ways. So the first and simplest way, you use the $, and just type the name of anything you would like to connect. Let's say my double. And voila, what I've just did, I concatenated my string, which is test, with my double. So if I will print this one out, you will see that it got concatenated. I have shown you how to create the functions, but this is probably, these last two parts are, this function part is an homework for you. Let me show you before we end one more hint, which something what I did not show you, how to create a function which actually returns something. This one, I'm going to create a function which is taking two values as input. So it will take A, which is int, it will take B, which is and also int, and it will return int. Return A plus B. This is the way how you create a function which is returning two things. Function, you name it somehow, you name what are the inputs, and you define what is the result. With this, I thank you very much for joining this lesson. It was relatively quick. I'm going to stop the recording, but if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I will stay a little bit longer to answer any questions you might have.